welcome to a new video here on my channel. Today we're going to talk about unbranded dyes from China, and we're going to lift forward the for opinions and the against opinions of buying unbranded dyes from China. And what I mean with unbranded dyes is dyes that do not fall under a company or a designer, pretty much. It's dyes that has been produced without any company standing behind them. So it's going to be an interesting way of finding out what different people think, what different people's opinions are, and I want this video to start a discussion. So you're more than welcome to give your opinions, your comments in the comments below, and we can then have this discussion, because I'm interested to know what you think, and I'm interested to know what your opinions are about this subject. And I know it's quite sensitive. I know people get either angry or upset, and I don't want that to be the case here in this video. I want people to be able to actually explain what they think and what their opinions are, and I don't want people to be lynched for them. So that's why I'm lifting forward both the people's opinions that think it's okay to buy unbranded dyes from China and people that are against buying unbranded dyes from China. I'm going to start by sharing with you the 4 opinions that I found on YouTube comments, on Instagram posts, on Instagram comments, somewhere on Twitter, somewhere on blog posts, and majority of them were on forums. So I think it will be a good way of getting an understanding of what people believe in and what people's opinions are. So the main argument I saw when I searched the web for 4 opinions about buying unbranded dyes from China were the cost aspect. The cost was the main argument, and I saw a comment by this woman, and she wrote like this: I can't afford to buy branded dyes, therefore I'm buying unbranded dyes from China. I would have never bought branded dyes from a company anyways, and therefore they're not missing out on a customer and they're not missing out on my money. So she is justifying her buying of unbranded dyes from China because she does not afford it. Then another one of the opinions were that companies like Sissic, Spellbinders, etc. produce dyes in China anyways, so what's the problem? And that made me actually quite curious, and I gathered my dyes to see if that was actually true. And when I looked at Creative Expressions, this is a big company creating dyes, I turned around the packaging and guess what? Made in China. So that's true, from that company at least. Then I looked at my more high-end dyes, which are super expensive. If you know Anna Griffin dyes, you know how costly they are. Well, these are in the same price point, really. They're a UK-based company, Tattered Lace, and this dye set is a lot of dyes here, but I paid a lot for this. And I think I paid about £40 for this set, or £45. And when I turned around the packaging, it says that it's designed in the UK, but made in PRC. And PRC stands for the People's Republic of China. So that's just the formal name of China. So instead of writing made in China, it says PRC. Then I looked at some other dyes here that I got from a cardmaking magazine, and it also says that it's designed here in the UK, but it's made in China. So it seems to be a very common thing. I also looked at some dyes from Sissic, and they were also produced in China. wasn't aware of that. I thought more dice was going to be produced, especially the high-end dice were going to be produced in the UK or the US, but no. I think it might also has to do with that a lot of factories are based in China. A lot of factories in the UK and the US have closed down because China are much cheaper in producing goods, so that might be one of the reasons. One of the main arguments for buying unbranded stamps on Wish and Alibaba that I saw when I was doing this research was that a lot of people said that the dies that are available on Wish and Alibaba are actually not copied. They are not straight out copied from branded companies, but they are their own designs and they have been created by designers in China. So I thought that it would be interesting to actually have a look for myself and see if that is true. I'm gonna go in on Wish and on Alibaba to then compare some of the dies that are sold there with some of the dies that are sold on a major shop like Simon Says Stamp. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start out at Simon Says Stamp, go into die cutting and search for wafer thin dies, because I know that is the dies that are mostly sold on Alibaba and Wish. I'm then going to have a look at the most recent and the newest dies that has been released to see if there actually is some of these dies available on Wish and see if there is a lot of similarities between those dies. So let's now go into Wish and type in metal dies, which I've done here, and let's search for it. So what I can see here is a skirt, which is obviously not a metal die. I've got, oh yeah, look here. Okay. So this is some dies that obviously look so similar to Creative Expressions. It's not the exact copy, but let's see if I can go in and search on Creative Expressions dies. That is Flower and Nature, because that was fairies, wasn't it? Yes, fairies. Oh yes, look. That is the die, isn't it? That's the exact copy on a Wish for $4.71. And here it's sold for $21.99. So that's an exact copy. And it looks like they've actually also copied, straight out copied, all of the dies here that Creative Expressions are selling. Yeah, let's see if I can find something else then that's been straight out copied. This one, for example, Dandelion Stem, I know that's one of those branded dies. I can't remember the name of it now. Let's search for it. If I can find it on Simon Says Stamp, because I know the packaging of that. I recognize it, the packaging. Let's see. Yeah, it's that one, isn't it? So that's the die, which is sold for $10.49. And on Wish it's sold for £2. So that's straight out copied as well. Let's see if we can find something else. It looks like you've got more Creative Expressions there. After some research, I actually found another die set that has been, totally copied. And they've actually used the design team members' cards to showcase their dies on Wish. So you've got Honeybee stamps. I think they're not called Honeybee. Honeybee, the company Honeybee created a Honeybee gingerbread house, and it's sold on Simon Says Stamp for $34.99. And when I go on Wish, it's sold for $3.69. And they are using the pictures, and they've badly, look here, they've badly photoshopped the design team members' name out, and they're using the pictures that the design team members created to showcase their dies, which obviously isn't the same. It's just, It's surreal, actually. I mean, so much cheaper in comparison to the Simon Says Stamp one. Now I closed down the Simon Says Stamp page, but you get what I mean. There is definitely a lot of fake, straight out copy dies on Wish. I've also had a look at Alibaba and I can't find anything that looks like branded dies. I just see kind of new designs, stuff I've never seen before. And a lot of these stores as well, they have their own companies where they produce their own dies. So like this, for example. Now my internet is so slow. I don't know what's... Oh, here we go. Here they are actually producing their own dies for their own company, which is called something. I can't see the name there, but yeah, they're producing their own dies, which is, I mean, that's original design. That's them creating their own dies, which is super cool. Yeah, what is it called? Chinese Crafter. Okay, so that's the company then, Chinese Crafter. So that's I think that's nice. I mean, they've done their own thing. They've done their own company and their own dice, and it's definitely not copyrighted. So, yay for Alibaba. And then you've got the against opinions, and here there was a lot, so I've tried to scale it down a little. And the main argument here is that the unbranded dies are straight out copies of the branded dies, and because these companies that produce unbranded dies are just straight out copying the design, they are actually skipping a major cost. I designed for a company called Kleina Palmer Designs, and she was having a live on Facebook in our design team group the other day, and she was saying that it takes her between 6 to 8 months to design a product because she needs to send it back and forth to the manufacturer to see if the die is correct, if it cuts properly, and so on. So it's a long process, and when these companies are skipping that process and they are just straight out taking the design, they have not needed to pay for a designer, they've not needed to pay for that postage back and forth between the manufacturer and the designer, they've not needed to pay for those hours of work, which could be, I mean, it could be months of work, especially if it's an original idea. It might be a 3D design where you need to actually make sure that it's correctly designed and it layers correctly and all of that. And then another one of the opinions and arguments was that if loads of people buy unbranded dies from China, the scrap industry, the scrapbooking industry will die out. And all of these die companies will stop producing their products because no one will buy them. Then another one of the opinions and arguments were that the condition that unbranded dies are made in are often inhumane. It could be child labor, slavery, longer hours, up to 14 hours a day. They're working in factories. And I saw a comment back on one of those where they mentioned the inhumane conditions, and one of the comments, it was a lady that wrote, but if the branded dies are actually produced in China, does that mean that they are not having these conditions as well? Are they making sure that it's not inhumane conditions? Are they making sure that it's not child labor, and so on? So I thought that was, yeah, that's another interesting point that I've not actually thought about until now. And then one of the against arguments were shipping time. So when you order something from an unbranded, well, when you order something from Wish or Alibaba, the shipping time will be maybe weeks, if not months. But if you order from a branded company, the shipping times will be much shorter. And then the last argument I saw was that the cutting is so much sharper and much nicer than the unbranded dies. And that is the end to this investigation. I hope that it's been an eye-opener. It has to me. I found out a lot of things that I actually did not know before, and it was interesting to look at different opinions and arguments and see what people actually base their decisions on to buy products that may or may not be counterfeit goods. I always find that interesting, and I hope that you have too. And if you have enjoyed this video and you've got any opinions, comments, just comment below and share your opinions and your ideas and your thoughts below, and we can continue this discussion about unbranded dyes from China, because I don't think that the discussion will be over anytime soon. See you in my next video. Bye bye.